Living with water. The current way our cities manage water is not enough. Traditionally, cities have utilized hard engineered systems to manage water flow. These are systems like dams, storm and sewer drains, pipes, and more. They're described as systems that are impervious to water and are typically used in order to quickly centralize and deflect water away from developments. But these systems have their drawbacks. Since hard engineered systems are impermeable to water, that means they can also create issues with infrastructural failure, water contamination, and increased runoff and flooding. For instance, infrastructural failure can be made more prevalent as these systems continually centralize large volumes of water. Especially in events where there is extreme flooding or runoff, dams and other hard engineered systems can be worn down and eroded, both externally and internally, if there are leaks. Water in large quantities over a period of time will erode anything, and these systems are no different. Water contamination is another issue that is relevant to the Detroit area as well. Since the existing hard engineered system constitutes what is called a combined sewer system, severe rain events can overload the entire system and cause sewer water to infiltrate both homes and waterways, leading to a wide range of health hazards. And lastly, runoff is a huge contributing aspect to both of the previously mentioned factors. Hard engineered systems might be made to help with drainage and water management, but with an increase in impervious surfaces and the amount of runoff and thus water will only continue to increase. The unintended side effect of pavement, roads, and buildings is this imperviousness ends up worsening the efficiency of these systems. So, because hard engineered systems are impermeable, they increase the volume of water and thus increase the danger of flooding. Since these systems only work to deflect water, these systems are actually making our cities more vulnerable to water over time. In certain instances, this could prove catastrophic. One study observed that in 2020 alone, that Detroit experienced its second 500-year flood in 7 years. In some areas, 6 inches of rain fell in just 5 hours. With this in mind, we also wanted to see how much water is being centralized within these hard engineered systems, and how much they're being strained. For that, we looked at the average rainfall in 2021, as well as data that we found on how much water the average residential unit uses. From this, we estimated the quantity of gallons of water that the city of Detroit received both on a residential level as well as through observed rainfall in 2021. We found that roughly 100.3 billion gallons of water would have been centralized into these combined systems and rerouted. For context, 1 billion gallons of water is equal to 1,500 Olympic sized swimming pools. All of that water is then being pushed through these systems, eroding, contaminating, overflowing, and flooding until the system either fails or gradually wears down enough to do so. In addition to this, many hard engineered systems only treat water management in a negative or inaccessible manner to people. For example, the Rouge River Flood Control Project built in the 1970s in Dearborn. The concrete channel is largely inaccessible and prone to neglect and ill maintenance. Is this the best way to address water management? In conjunction with this and the ever increasing amount of rainfall and climate change, these issues are only going to persist in the future. So, how does a city live with water? First, we have to understand critical points where existing hard engineered systems are failing. For this, we can find indicators within a city that denote growing issues with water management. One indicator would be flood risk. Hard engineered systems that have failed or are beginning to fail will be more apparent during heavy rain events. In other words, if the water management systems are failing, there will be more water. We also observed the rainfall in Detroit, as mentioned earlier. Bacterial or algae blooms are another good indicator. Detroit still uses an older combined sewer system, which results in a particularly problematic situation when these systems overload. As these systems struggle to deflect the stormwater, they will also overload with untreated sewage as well. As such, finding these bacteria is another test variable that can be used to find deficient, hard engineered systems. The heat map also gives us a lot of information. It can correlate with bacterial blooms, but it can also denote a lack of green or canopy cover and an overabundance of impermeable material or city density resulting in a higher heat temperature. Figuring out where the combined sewer system as well as their drainage outlets was also important. Lastly, we look at where existing pipelines were. From these indicators, we can apply them as layers over the city of Detroit to triangulate areas that share factors that are caused by failing hard engineered systems. Both the flood risk and the rainfall map align with the drainage areas, showing that the eastern side of Detroit might have an issue with high rain events. The heat map also correlates to the bacterial bloom map as well. These are also locations with existing drainage and pipe systems. These are the locations that begin to emerge from the overlapping data. Eastern Detroit and the northwestern corner of Detroit along the border. Both locations have hard engineered systems like combined sewer and drainage outlets. Now that we have identified the problem and targeted areas that are affected, the next step is to finish addressing the question at hand. How should cities live with water? We've already learned how hard engineered systems centralize and deflect, techniques that can worsen infrastructure over time. So let's consider this then, decentralizing and absorbing. Decentralizing water and encouraging absorption of water helps to reduce infrastructural strain, especially in flooding events. In opposition to existing hard engineered systems, we can begin to explore another option, soft engineering. Soft engineered systems use organic materials to decentralize and absorb water, rather than centralizing and deflecting it. These systems are naturally found in the environment and are thus naturally designed to deal with water and any storm events. In addition to this, we also need to consider the context of the locations that we discovered. Different areas have different zoning and inherent infrastructure that follows. Knowing that, where's the water wanted or not wanted? Water has commonly been seen as undesirable and deflected quickly from cities, but opportunities emerge from these different typologies, inviting us to think about how water can be advantageous rather than a burden. So instead of centralizing and deflecting water away from the cities, what if we integrated it and used it, decentralizing and absorbing it within soft engineered systems that complement the existing zoning and conditions in our cities? Water will collect uniquely in different areas that have different zoning. If you were to format water management and thus soft engineered systems according to those areas, you would be able to create a system of water regulation that does its job as well as better the city on a whole. Take the 1970s Rouge River project. The hard engineered infrastructure here has led to a future now where this area is underutilized and spatially unused by people, as well as leading the infrastructure to being gradually neglected and improperly maintained. If long-term soft engineered systems were used, they would continue to grow, develop, and work better over time, as well as being more inviting and integrated into the surrounding city. And unlike hard engineered systems, these systems can be customized to treat particular issues, such as treating bacteria or contaminated water, helping with erosion, helping with extreme flooding, and more through using plants. Cattails, for example, are extremely common in Michigan and have a range of benefits. They help with flooding, increase biodiversity, as well as treat contaminated water by filtering out phosphorus, nitrogen, and even lead. Elderberries are also a great plant and are naturally found in Michigan. These plants are especially good at helping with erosion and helping to slow rapid water flow. Although hard engineered systems continue to be the primary water control, it's important to take a look at how these systems can become harmful over time. The city of Detroit in recent years has experienced both severe storm events as well as a gradual degradation of their hard engineered water management systems. Even if these systems were at their full efficiency, it's a good reminder that the dependency on electricity and other necessities could still cause devastating failure. The introduction of more soft engineered systems into the city invites new possibilities of how these systems could retroactively work to combat a variety of water related issues like runoff and water contamination, while also being more engaging and user friendly solutions than existing hard engineered systems. And unlike those hard engineered systems, soft engineering will only grow, develop, and improve with time, whereas hard engineered systems can only degrade as both time and water eventually wear them down. In this way, cities can truly live with water, not just deflecting or endangering it, by taking care of it and making it an integrated and engaging aspect within cities. Thank you.